The shipping industry plays a very critical role in global trade and economy. It is responsible for the transportation of approximately 90% of world trade, the bulk of our raw material, import and exports of food. Manufactured products will not be possible without the shipping industry. You are watching another episode of AMOI Unplugged, an interview program that focuses on diversification of our nation's economy. I am Chioma Ikejiani. Thank you for joining me. Our spotlight is on Nigerian Shippers Council. Established in 1978 to ensure effectiveness and efficiency in the quality of our shipping services. In 2014, the federal government appointed the council the Port Economic Regulator. My guest, the visionary, dynamic, forthright, and passionate Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Shippers Council, a Leonard gentleman, Hasson Bello, would tell us more about the role and efforts of the Council in economic diversification. It is a must-watch. It's AMOI Unplugged, exploring diversity.
The Nigerian Shippers Council, as the nation's port economic regulator, is ensuring an effective regulatory system for the control of tariffs, rates, charges, and other economic services. The Council, a firm believer in synergy, has close collaboration with the relevant national, regional, and international stakeholders in achieving its mandate. With a determined and focused leadership committed to global best practice, the Nigerian Shippers Council is indeed sanitizing the practice and conduct of business in the transport industry. Truly, the nation's port economic businesses are getting better with the Council as the port economic regulator. Nigerian Shippers Council, the Maritime Plus agency through all the transport value chain.
Welcome to AMOI Unplugged, and here we are at the headquarters of the Shippers Council. I'm excited. You know, I wanted to do this for a long time. So I want to thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Hasson Bello.
Thank you.
I'd like you to share some highlights of your professional career on your journey to becoming the Executive Secretary, CEO of the Shippers Council.
Well, I'm a lawyer. I started as a public prosecutor. Office, Ministry of Justice. Okay. From there, actually, I went to work as a company secretary of Sokoto Investments Company. And that opens, you know, another vista for me to make connection between society and the economy. It was a holding company with so much shares in the blue chips, one of the largest investment company at that time. Having shares in almost all the blue chips company you can see. And we had meetings, AGMs in Liver Brothers, you know, AGM in Royal Niger. And there's so many of these, so that exposed me to the business side of it. I really enjoyed working with the investment company. I could see the need for industrialization. Even in that small community of Sokoto, I was able to push for the establishment of certain industries, like foam mattress industry. We had, I think, a mining company to feed the cement company at that time, and so many other very beautiful projects, which we did. So that propelled me to look for to be in the thick of the economic action going on in Nigeria at that time.
So how did you actually get into the shipping sector?
I think it was an opportunity. I've always found shipping very interesting, and I crave for me to have training in Admiralty law. Ahmadu Bello University law faculty was also a very enabling faculty, and we have bits, of everything: international law, commercial law, and apart from private international law, there was a bit about admiralty law, which I studied, and I crave to have that experience so that I can work there. I've always been interested about the carriage of goods, and so when I found the opportunity, of course, I couldn't. I just grabbed it, yes.
So when you came in, what was your role?
I came here in the legal department.
Okay.
Yes, I headed the legal department.
Wow.
Yeah, and that also, of course, will expose me to shipping, because shipping is law. I had good bosses who made sure that I go through so many courses. Chief Sarimi, for example, made sure that I did that.
So then you got prepared for the big role, which is the executive. And what year was this?
This is 2013.
Give us a historical background to the appointment of the Shippers Council as an economic regulator for the nation's port.
The Shippers Council was already performing a function that could be said to be economic regulation. If you look at the 1978 Act, which sets up the Nigerian Shippers Council, most of it is regulatory. However, the ports, for example, were not in the hands of the private sector. Government was running the port. So the functions of Shippers Council as a government agency was a little bit mild or shy, if I may put it that way. Okay. However, we did a lot of economic regulation. That means efficiency of the port. We encourage competition and entry and exit into the business.
And what do you feel are your challenges? Once you became the economic regulator, what were your challenges in the shipping sector?
We face a lot of challenges because our, let me say, appointment, as economic regulator, formal appointment by the government, brought a lot of resistance. Okay. I call it regulatory resistance. Regulators are resistant everywhere. Okay. More so if it is a new thing. What we wanted was to bring a new port order. We want efficiency. We want reflection of the port system into our economy. We are talking about inclusiveness. We are talking about economic growth and also employment. We want a seamless transport system. We want efficiency. And so that will be resisted, by operators and even users of shipping services.
Do you think the resistance is because they didn't understand your responsibilities? So why don't you share, as an economic regulator, what are your responsibilities?
Our responsibilities is to make sure that transport make meaningful contribution to the economy in terms of enhanced revenue to the government, in terms of efficiency of the transport system itself, in terms of modern infrastructure. Our economy is global. We have to operate to the world standard. So transportation drives economy, or economy drives transportation. So our duty is to make sure that transport becomes an enabler, a catalyst of Nigeria's economy.
Talking about an enabling environment, I'd like you to look at your milestones in terms of your short, middle, and long-term goals. But let's look at the milestones since you've been the boss of this organization. Give me some highlights for you that you feel that you've made an impact.
We made impact on trying to enhance the economy. We promoted infrastructure. We concessioned the inland dry ports to the private sector. And one of them in Kaduna is working. Okay. It is a center for export. Export has grown, using the ports now. And the imports also is taken to the doorsteps of the shipper.
The Kaduna dry ports, when was that commissioned?
The Kaduna dry port was commissioned 2 years back by the president. And now you have containers taken to that port for examination. So people in Kaduna and the environs need not to come to Lagos.
They were coming to Lagos before?
Yes, before
Wow.
they were coming to Lagos to either export or import their cargo. And now we have a port in Kaduna. So we brought shipping to their doorsteps. Their customs, all the paraphernalia of a port exists in Kaduna now. And what is more even important is the economy, is picking up in Kaduna. The moment you go to the port area, you could see banks are coming in.
Wow.
You could see employment has started. Some inquiries have been made as to the establishment of packaging company in the environment. So that means the port economy that Lagos and Port Harcourt and Calabar enjoys will be enjoyed by Kaduna.
Why did you choose Kaduna? What was so special about that state that made it a strategic area?
Actually, we didn't choose Kaduna. Kaduna chose us. Kaduna is supported by the government.
Okay.
The port in Kaduna, it's just like all the other places that we've had, but the government was central. The government was enthusiastic. The government of El-Rufai, made sure that it fulfilled all its obligations and even did more so that the port, will also work for Kaduna's economy. We have other ports which are nearing completion. We hope by December we'll have some significant improvement in Jos and in Funtua.
Oh, wow.
Yes, but in Isialanga, a lot of things have to be done. But in Ibadan, we hope by October, the construction of that dry port will start by the Chinese company.
For any governor that's actually listening to this, what are your checkpoints when you say that a state chooses you? What are some of the ticking points for your
ticking
organization?
points is viability. Will that support throughput? What are the issues, especially on export? Nigeria has to export or we perish. We can't be an import-dependent economy. So the dry ports are the basis for export. And so if you said Kaduna has the best ginger in the world, how will they export it? Will they come to Lagos, and wait for all this before? But they can do the export in Kaduna. And that is significant. That is profound. So in each locality, we look at what are the exportable commodities. But we need to process those exports, so that we add value to the chain. And in every area, there are employments. In every area, a factory value chain. So that's why it's very important.
So what would be another milestone?
The milestone we'll do is to look at the operations of the port itself. We don't see port as a port. We see port as an economic unit. The Nigerian port is competing with other ports in the Central and West African sub-region. So we have to make it efficient. We have to make it cost-effective. We have to establish the ease of doing business and, of course, the cost of doing business. So that's what Shippers Council has been able to do. So our ports must be automated. We can't run primitive processing clearance system that we have now.
Now, when you talk about automotive, you're talking about bringing in technology.
We're technology. Okay. It has to be technology infused. Technology in, for example, payment. You can't go because you have a transaction, you go to many banks, have the teller stamp, then you bring it. No. There must be a central point where 6 seconds you're off. You should be able to clear your goods from the ports in your house. Now, the truck transit park, particularly, it's a modern transport infrastructure.
What is that?
If you were traveling by road, you would see articulated vehicles or tankers, parked indiscriminately on the shoulder of the road, degrading the environment, delaying delivery of goods and so on. Now, Shippers Council has come with the idea of having a modern park. Now, this modern park would enable the drivers to have rest. Most of the accidents are induced by lack of rest. So we are going to come with so many regulations. 6 hours, one has to park in that. There will be a lot of amenities, hospitals, hostels, hotels, supermarkets.
Wow, so there's a big value chain.
Yes, there's a big value chain all created around.
So
it's a truck village. We never had that. So that's what we are doing. We are trying to do in Enugu and Lokoja. Wow. This will soon come up, and that is very, very important. The more modern our infrastructure are, the better for our economy. One orders some goods to Kano, and the driver will take 12 days. Wow. You know, no consequences. This cannot happen. Yeah, this is not an economy. You know, so we have to formalize so many things, and we have to have way bridges to measure the capacity of the trucks. We have garages, modern ones, genuine spare parts, and so many other things. It's not only for trailers, but for you driving, you could go there and have, you know, an arrest. You know, so that is what we are contributing. I've already explained the dry ports, you know, and this is one of the landmark, you know, changing the economy, you know, export, you know, as opposed to only import. We also have had the port operating procedure, of which we participated with so many, to bring sanity into our ports. Our ports before now were, you know, very unsightly places. You know, with like a chicken running without its head, if you ask me. Nobody was regulated to do anything. Wow. But now the standard operating procedure of the port system has been launched, and we are going to enforce it so that all the business in the ports know what their operating procedures are, and they work according to that. Shippers Council is supervising that, and Shippers Council is also taking part in the cargo clearance. Wow. Yeah, to make sure that cargo is cleared as soon as it comes to the port. Quickly. Our dwell time, that is the number of hours or days or time the cargo, you know, stays at the port. It's not. Yes, it's not even good by regional standards, not talk of international. So dwell time of cargo must improve, and we have to go there and supervise and see things are doing. As I've told you, automation is key. Is inevitable. We have to automate the port. We have to do away with primitive clearance procedure. We have to have scanners. We have to have modern equipment at this point.
What can be done towards solving the congestion problems that people are currently facing at the ports, specifically the congestion on the port's access roads?
Yes, it's a lack of planning. 24 million metric tons was the capacity of the ports, built around 80s. Now we're in 2019, how many years? And we're dealing with 84 million metric tons. So you could see that the infrastructure stood still. Okay, the port access is only one mode, which is road. You can't have one mode to serve a port that brings out 84 million metric tons. It's got to be multimodal. We need to have rail. We need to have inland waterways. We even need to have pipelines. So now here we are relying on only road. It's not going to happen. That's why we have all this congestion. But the federal government is doing a lot. They are linking all the ports with rail. Now, so you won't have congestions. It will be a thing of the past.
I remember there was a presidential order that the president gave, and I think that you were involved in that. Yeah. So talk to me a little about that when you had meetings with your stakeholders in terms of decongesting the gridlock.
And, ease of doing business. You see, the gridlock is lack of traffic management, most of it. Failure of infrastructure. As I said, explain one mode, you know, one way in and how many ways out. so it's not going to happen. We need to have order. We need to have discipline. We need to have infrastructure. Even attitudes of our, operators, our drivers. And then the efficiency of the port affects the gridlock. If the port is efficient, we won't be having much gridlock. If it is not, then there will be a problem. So we have to audit and see. Nigerian Shippers Council is a part, of the task team that has been set up. And so far, so good. We have been to the central area of the port. We have been able to bring some relief and order.
Well, I hear it's gotten better because they said to me yesterday, there was no way you could have gotten here this quickly.
No.
So I think that there is process being made.
Yes.
I'm going to shift a little, and I'd like you to talk a little bit about how you collaborate with your agencies in terms of creating more efficiency.
Very good, because that goes to the synergy we have always craved for. We need to work together. We can't work against one another. The whole aim is, what will you make of this economy? What will transportation bring to the table when everybody sits down? Communication will come and say, this is what I brought to this economy. Agriculture will come and say, this is what I brought. So transportation, what have you? You know, in terms of inclusiveness, the growth of the economy, employment, and so on and so forth. It's not an abstract thing. You can't have transport for transport's sake. Transport must relate to the economy. So we need to have synergy. And working together always brings positive things. We have worked with most of our agencies together.
Who are your agencies?
Agencies like NIMASA, we're talking about Nigerian Ports Authority, we're talking about even the institutions.
The railway?
Yes, the rail, very, very important. We're meeting with them all the time. They cannot fix the cost without coming to us. We are worried about that. Yeah, so every agency, we are negotiating with the shipping companies to reduce appropriately the cost of doing business, and we're almost there. But it's not only the cost is not generated by shipping companies, it's also generated by government agencies. And somehow we're in the same ministry. So how will they increase costs without coming to Shippers Council? So which means all the achievements will have been washed off.
Would have been a waste.
Yes, so it would have been a waste. So we are working with them now to make sure that they subject their changes to our negotiations. That's what the law says.
So the mandate of an economic regulator comes in here because now you can position yourself to actually have that role.
We are the coordinators, if you like. We moderate. If you don't want the word regulator, I will accept a moderator.
No, I like regulator.
Yes, well, let's just say.
No. I like economic
we moderate
regulator.
things that happen. You got to play it by us. Okay? Because we have the bird's eye view of everything happening. Shippers Council is not a maritime organization. Shippers Council it is in every mode across the chain. Every mode that is of transport, then across, that is from the sea up to the time goods are delivered to the final consumer. So that's our mandate. So we have neutrality, we have a bird's eye view, so we will be able to look at things and appraise and advise the government on what to do.
It's AMOI Unplugged. We're going on break. We'll be right back. AMOI Unplugged, exploring diversity.
The Nigerian Shippers Council, as the nation's port economic regulator, is ensuring effective regulatory system for the control of tariffs, rates, charges, and other economic services. The Council, a firm believer in synergy, has close collaboration with the relevant national, regional, and international stakeholders in achieving its mandate. With a determined and focused leadership committed to global best practice, the Nigerian Shippers Council is indeed sanitizing the practice and conduct of business in the transport industry. Truly, the nation's port economic businesses are getting better with the Council as the port economic regulator. Nigerian Shippers Council, the Maritime Plus agency through all the transport value chain.
I'll tell you what blew my mind, and I think it could be a milestone. And I want to tell you how did this come about? They say that leadership is someone that actually has this innate ability of influencing a whole bunch of people to come up with a common goal. So for you as the leader of Shippers Council, I would say that your ability to inspire, motivate, and drive your team, it's innovative in the sense that someone whispered in my ears that there's this incubator thing that happens at the Shippers Council. And I'd like you to talk to me a little bit about that, because there's a social media team, and there's an investment team, and there's all these young folks that are the second generation that you're trying to bring into the council. Walk me through how that came about and how you're inspiring this generational shift that you feel is key for sustainability.
It is a generational shift indeed. Shippers Council serves the private sector. So it wouldn't be like 9-to-5 work. We need innovation. The world is changing. Even the laws cannot keep up with modern trade. The modern system of trading has gone so far. Nigeria must be part of this. Otherwise, we'll be lagging behind. So that's why we have the incubator system with the new generation in Shippers Council. We have, for example, a young team of investment. They have to know what investment is. Maybe I don't know. They have to know what presentation they will be able to make people go and say, oh, I've seen the presentation by Shippers Council. I'm going to put my money in this project, truck transit park, or a dry port or something. We have the IT also, ICT. Hitherto our website was something of a disappointment.
I was blown away.
Yes.
No, I was blown away.
Yeah.
When I first heard that I was going to interview you, I went on the website and it worked.
Yes.
And I had all this information, and to my surprise, I heard that it was done by an internal team.
A team of very, very, very young, people, because they are native to that. We are not. So give us.
They're Nigerians.
They are, of course, they are Nigerians. They are from Oka. They are from Birnin-Kebbi. They are from Lagos.
By Nigerians for Nigeria.
By Nigerians for Nigerians. They have to believe in their country. The leadership of this country has made us to believe in this country. And the young people are showing that. They are showing. Give them the chance. Give everybody a chance. The private sector, they come here, they think we are not government. Because before they come to the meeting, we're already in the boardroom waiting for them. So that is the example. We are servants. Yeah. Shippers Council is servant. We are not masters. We are not orgas or anything. No. We crave for improvement in this country, in the transport sector.
But it's leadership.
Yes. We have to make sure that, the young, are shown, are led by example, and that this is coming to fruition. We have seen the young people doing everything now, and we just watch and see and look at them and encourage them to be so.
About 3 weeks ago, I remember walking into the Sheraton Hotel in Abuja, and you graciously invited me to come to your summit.
Yes.
And I remember walking in, and I thought, oh my God, there's so many international, sub-Saharan Shippers Council here.
Yes.
How were you able to get Sub-Sahara Shipping Council in Abuja from all over?
From all over.
And the Global Shippers Forum. How were you able to do that?
You see, the African countries look to us for leadership. We have by standard, their standard, a large economy. By world standard, of course, we're a moderate economy. But the role of shipping in the economies of Africa is vital. If there are discrepancies or there are hikes in price, it will affect even our the way we live, our style of living. It will affect the way we think. It has inflationary trend in our economies. And so we have to bring Africa all together. If we fight the European carriers alone as Nigerians, that would be difficult. So we said, why not bring everybody together? And we have been able to do that, and now the world is watching. Because Africa has the advantage of being the cargo owners. Of what ships, of what importance is a ship without cargo?
That's true.
Of what importance is the ports without cargo? The whole thing that revolves around shipping is one thing, cargo. So the inevitability of cargo, the primacy of cargo will give us strength to bargain. We have not been bargaining. We take everything they throw at us. But it's not going to happen anymore.
So what was the objective of
The objective is to get equilibrium and balance. We have to take part in the decision making. When these prices are fixed, we have to be there. How can it be dictated by one party The European or the world shipping companies, they decide what the freight is. They have no right to do that. They have to negotiate with us. They decide what are the things they charge as surcharges without consultation, without negotiation, without information. That cannot happen. We have to be part of that decision making. And from now, we are going to take the bull by the horn and make sure.
On the table.
Yeah, we make sure we be that.
What is the essence, the concept of the National Transport Commission to the national economy?
National Transport Commission is also a step ahead. You want to formalize everything that, let's say, Shippers Council is doing. The Transport Commission is the nerve center of economic regulation, economic investment. For example, let me give you one example. You build a river port, then tomorrow you build a dry port, then you build a seaport. There's no connection. There must be integration. One infrastructure must speak with the other. And that's what Shippers Council has been doing. There must be coordination. Now, investment in transportation is even more desirable to have that connectivity. What is all wrong with ports in Calabar is lack of inland connectivity. Of what importance is a port when there are no roads to evacuate the cargo? And who will think? The man with the port will think about the port. The man with the rail will think only about the rail. The man with inland waterways will think within that confines. They are not coming together. Who will do that? Nigerian Shippers Council will bring them together. So that's what the National Transport Commission is all about.
The Nigerian Shippers Council, as the nation's port economic regulator, is ensuring effective regulatory system for the control of tariffs, rates, charges, and other economic services. The Council, a firm believer in synergy, has close collaboration with the relevant national, regional, and international stakeholders in achieving its mandate. With a determined and focused leadership committed to global best practice, the Nigerian Shippers Council is indeed sanitizing the practice and conduct of business in the transport industry. Truly, the nation's port economic businesses are getting better with the Council as the port economic regulator. Nigerian Shippers Council, the Maritime Plus agency through all the transport value chain.
The Council is collaborating with the Global Shippers Forum. How are you doing that, and why are they key to your success?
We are members of the Global Shippers Forum, and Global Shippers Forum is supposed to take the interest of shippers. Shippers are those who buy space in the ship. But many decisions are taken by the ship owners, by international organizations like the IMO, without regards or consideration of the shippers. And so we are leveraging on their global position. And that's why we are part of it. We went to London about 2-3 months ago, and we influenced so much decisions.
Really?
Yes, we did.
How did you do that?
Because we have the cargo, we have the power of cargo. Okay, and that's why it is important for us to have our own ships. We cannot be a maritime nation unless we control the means of transportation, which is the ship. We should have Nigerians, buying, owning, or operating in ships and other means of transportation. We cannot afford to leave everything to be just a cargo interest. No. Take part, he who controls.
You mean like a national fleet?
Yes, like a national fleet.
Like
Yes, like national fleet. National fleet is owned by Nigerians. Okay? If we do that, then you will have also interest, you will have decision. You will decide what the transportation will be. But for now, nobody owns a ship. You have feeder vessels and some other one or two.
What do you think it would take to actually put that in place?
That's what we are doing. I am the chairman of the National Fleet Implementation Committee.
So as the chairman?
Yes, what we're trying to do, or what I've done so far, is to clean up Nigeria's economy so that shipping will thrive. Because it was not going to be profitable because of layers of taxes, because of lack of incentives. So we are competing against the world fleet. You have to really take care of your. So that's what we are doing now,
So you see a positive horizon in the
positive horizon has been cited because we're working with many institutions. NNPC is part of it. We have addressed the economic management team. We're working with the investment commission, Nigerian Investment Commission, and we hope that the issue will be aggravated so that we can attract local and foreign investment. And we'll have ships. When we have ships, they will be declared as, they will be the national fleet, and then they have exclusive rights to carry Nigerian cargo. Okay. Yeah, so the profitability is already assured, But we are going to come out in a few weeks with the whole, plan and our hope, so that the horizon we see will even be
more positive.
More positive.
I'm going to shift a little. When the president was given a second mandate, even in his first mandate, one of the things that he kept on, he's very passionate about it, is his fight against corruption. And one of the questions that I want to throw at you is, can you speak about Nigeria's Shippers Council Anti-Corruption and Transparency Monitoring Unit? How is the council working towards a corruption-free and transparent system? I know it's difficult, but I know this is also something that you're working very hard to achieve.
Well, we have to look at our dealings with, external agencies and our dealing inside. Here we have zero tolerance of corruption. We have tons of letters that appreciate our lack of, our openness. Okay. And that technology that we said, we are encouraging technology. Technology is the illumination that lights up the darkness of corruption. Okay? Once you have technology, it banishes corruption because it's transparent, it's open, it's automated, it is seen by everybody.
You talk a lot about technology, and I've heard about the National Single Window Project that was initiated by the Ministry of Transportation. Talk to me a little bit about that and how that helps.
National Single Window, it's a web-based, window, as they said. It's a one-stop shop. Okay. Yeah, one-stop shop where, everything about the port community is also part of it. But this is where things happen, the clearance system, the coming together of, many agencies instead of multiple agencies. Instead of signing 17 forms, you sign only maybe one, and it's transparent. It is happening. It good. Makes, that's what makes, the port efficient. Ah. Yeah.
Another thing I'd like you to talk about is the Port Concession Review Agreement. Would you say that the council is actively involved?
The council is not actively involved in...
but that's part of your mandate as an economic regulator. Mandate,
but I think there are some administrative problems. And that's why we are always saying that, let's involve Shippers Council, because Shippers Council represents significant interest in shipping. It's a mandate. Yeah. You cannot have concession agreement cannot be written with the parties. There are two parties and they are writing concession agreement. And you're not there. And we are not there. We have to be the referee. We have to be the umpire. We have to advise. We have to point out certain things. And that's why the first concession was done without Shippers Council, and it has problem. That's why we don't have ports that are even designed for export. We have now to configure them, because exporters were not taken into consideration. Forget even about the Shippers Council. They are the freight forwarders, they are the cargo owners, the shippers. They have so many interests. So the port does not belong to any organization. For us to do what they want with it, it is not going to happen. It will be wrong. Okay?
So if you were there, what would be your role?
Open society. Bring it. It's transparent. Okay. So bring it. Let people make input. But you're having a closed thing. This belongs to Nigerians, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're very passionate about this. Looking ahead of the Buhari administration new tenure, what message would you like to convey to Nigerians on what they should expect from your council in the next few years?
It's a message of hope. This council is the root of new things to come. This is the council of ideas. This is the council of international perspective. It's a council that looks at the economy and nothing more pretentious, which is the function of transportation system. This council is the future.
Particularly with economic diversification, I'd like you know, the president continues, even when he released the budget a few days ago, one of the big themes was driving non-oil sector, driving economic diversification. And I just want you to talk a little bit about your role as a leader in this sector, in the shipping sector, and how it relates to economic diversification, because that's the landmark of this show, AMOI
Exactly,
Unplugged.
diversification of revenue, because our economy is diversified actually, but there must be a shift. Nigeria is part of the global economic order. We have to produce. That means we have to have manufacturing economy. We have to have trading economy. Every month, we distribute what the data produced by the Nigerian Statistic Bureau to all our directors. We read, journals of international economics. Yeah, we debate on that. We look at the budget, dissect it. How does it affect our economy? Exactly. Yeah, and that is everybody coming to say, this is how it should be. So this is the think tank. And this is also the do tank of Nigeria's economy. I'm not an economist, but I know that if you teach a parrot how to say demand and supply, maybe you have made an economist out of him. So it is important that we look at the future of the world economy and see how Nigeria can benefit from that.
You've talked about collaborating with agencies. I'd like you to talk a little bit about collaborating with CBN, which, CBN did a lot with agriculture. What are they doing in the shipping sector?
There are three things. Shipping sector is of interest to the Central Bank of Nigeria. And Central Bank of Nigeria, having recognized our expertise, have directed us or asked us to collaborate with them. First, on the reasonableness of freight. Yeah, people will say this is the freight they use from India to Nigeria. We have to verify that. CBN may not have a maritime desk, so we do that. And in doing that, we save a lot of money for Nigeria. Wow. Then, that's new. Yeah. Then we also collaborate on CBN, giving us another task is to look at the what I call the capital flight, which is not reasonable, especially in terms of demurrage and the other cost to shipping. And that will also save billions, of naira. We are saving billions because we said, no, we work with the commercial banks who will bring us things and we sit down with them. No, you cannot do that. You cannot. Yeah, that's a game changer. So slowly we are using that to leverage on our regulations. And there are experts here who know that, and we are quick. We don't bring the traffic. So banks are comfortable coming to us. Look at what we want to do. We advise the central bank. It okays some and some it acts on our advice. So we are saving the economy. And we are being entrenched into the economy also propelled by the Central Bank of Nigeria. These are the kind of institutions we belong to.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What would you say keeps you up at night?
Reading.
Reading?
Yeah, I read a lot.
When do you get time to read when you're
at night? At night before I sleep.
Really?
Yeah.
Last question is your social responsible programs. I know that you're very passionate about many communities, and I know you feel blessed and you also want to give back. So talk to me a little bit about your leadership and how you give back to the communities.
It's always, the way you see it, government cannot do everything, they said. So even at institutional level, Shippers Council, as poor as it is, you know, we always...
We're not poor.
Yes, we well, you know, we're always looking at, you know, educational institutions. To make sure that, you know, children have books to read, that their classrooms are renovated, furniture, books, learning apparatus, and so on and so forth. This we have done in many states, and we are doing that. We could have 2 or 3 boreholes for the school, you know, and our main aim is educational. And we are going to start from next year working with the universities to make sure that we have a kind of feed mechanism for maritime. I'll start working with the University of Lagos, for example.
Wow.
Yeah, for there must be a marriage between the university and the industry.
So education plays a big role in giving back.
Yes.
Do you know what? I heard that you are a secret poet.
I'm not a poet, but I like reading poetry.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Like, what is your favorite? What was your favorite poet?
Oh, one poet must be from Professor Shainka.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The imagination is...
So what does that do for you? The fact that you have this and you read it, are you inspired?
I'm
does
inspired,
it drive
and
you?
You become a thinker. I think poetry is objective. So when you are educated, there are certain things you will not do. When you read poems, there are things that, you know, are above or under you. It's the dignity that poetry confers on you and restrains you from being, let me say, from being unserious. Yeah, you assume a lot of responsibilities and you are never flimsy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. I have learned so much, and you're so passionate.
Thank you.
Highly informative, isn't it? And we could go on, but time will not permit. However, we can continue the conversation on our social media platforms. Thank you for watching. I am Chioma Ikejiani. Goodbye.